Are you ready?
Hello, and welcome to the Whole House Podcast, where you can find home, health, and family all in one place. Our team is comprised of moms from different upbringings and backgrounds, and we each have different passions and giftings and strengths. We each represent a different room, and we all make up the whole house. So grab a cup of coffee and join our overly caffeinated ladies here for the Whole House Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Whole House Podcast. Today it's Kathleen, and I have a couple special guests who were part of my pre-read team for the novel Defining Home. We have Rebekah Schoonover. Say hi, Rebekah.
Hello.
And Alec Cohen. Say hi.
Hello.
So these two teens, you can say your ages. How old are you, Rebekah?
Well, when I first read the book, I was 16, but now I'm 17.
Okay. Alec?
My age is unknown to history, but I identify as an 18-year-old.
All right. I'm so glad you identify as an 18-year-old today. And so these two were on my pre-read team, and they were also on the review team of this book. And they were a lot of help, and they got to be in meetings and tell me what to do, and sometimes I did it, and sometimes I didn't.
Nothing I said was done.
Don't kill that person. So I invited them here just so we could talk a little bit about the book. It's been out for a little while, and the sequel is going to be releasing in September. And I wanted to just sit down with them before the sequel releases. In case you haven't read Defining Home, it's a novel. And we're going to just talk through some things. The novel is set in Poland, and it's set in an orphanage in a small village called Soleów outside of Piotrków. Thank you. I'm like, wait, I can't think of anything right now.
Pronounce it anyway.
And they're all worried that they're going to mess up. So I already messed up. So now you can feel better. If you mess up, it's fine.
Sure.
And the main character is named Adelina, and she's a 15-year-old girl in the orphanage. So I'm just going to ask you each to take a turn. What did you think about the main character, Adelina?
You want to go first or me?
Ladies first.
All right. Such a gentleman. She was an oddball in Poland. She looked different. She acted different. Everybody in Poland is known for, blonde hair. She has this bright, curly red hair. So I really liked how you set her up to actually even look different.
Okay.
It's like you kind of follow that stereotype, like, oh, main character's like has blue hair with a sea of blondes,
Right.
But I really liked it.
Good. Anything else about her?
I may come to mind something else.
All right. If you think of something, just say it.
Personally, to me, my thoughts on Adelina were just, I enjoy reading books where the protagonist is not a paragon, which is, this perfect shining image of a human being, so like Captain America.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that she has her flaws, like through her selfishness and stuff, and isn't completely perfect, makes the character a lot more relatable, a lot more, like, closer to home, because no one here is perfect except maybe Kathleen, but that's on her good days. She's Saint Kathleen.
Or Oprah.
So, let's look at the setting a little bit. I told you where it takes place, but what exactly is happening in Adelina's life at the opening of the book?
Well, she's going to go meet her possible adoption family, but then, the ship tips sideways and everything just goes chaotic and explodes, and she's trying to put stuff back together without letting it crumble. It's like trying to hold water, and the water's seeping out through your fingers, but you're still trying to hold it together.
Right. And and the thing is, like, when you're reading the first chapter, it's not like, here's this perfect setting. It's like, boom, things are falling apart right away.
Right.
And do you want to add to that?
No, I think she sums it up pretty well. She's really, the beginning is just her worrying about what her new adoptive parents will think of her as a first impression.
Right.
He didn't even lead us up. It was just first chapter. Boom.
Boom. Get you in there.
That's what life is. Boom.
Tell me about Daria. Who's Daria?
Daria is her best friend that I didn't really give us information if she grew up with her. Maybe they came to this orphanage at the same time. My memory's not coming to me if that's so, but they were both being adopted at the same time, but something happened to Daria that caused, the plot twist.
Right, because Daria's adoption failed. And you're right, they both did grow up in the orphanage together, and they had this dream of being adopted. And so here they are, teenagers, and they're finally getting that chance, and Daria's adoption fails. So, but what motivated Adelina? I'll let you take this one.
Her main motivations throughout this book, especially, towards the beginning more so, her motivations are just making sure that she gets adopted because she's tired of the orphanage. I imagine if I was stuck in an orphanage, I probably would be tired of it too. But her motivation was really to find a family and to follow her dreams, which was to be an artist.
Right, and there was a specific place she wanted to go.
New York, it's a heck of a town.
To quote the Schuyler sisters, it is the greatest city in the world.
Okay, New York.
I have no idea.
Since we're all going to sing, that's where she wanted to go.
I could have
New
sang
York.
it too.
And so what was her reaction when her prospective adoptive parents said, "We live in West Virginia"?
Where? I'm pretty sure that's something that stood out to me is she was like, where? Wait, that state exists? Which is most people's reaction to hearing West Virginia. Do you mean Western Virginia? No, West Virginia's a state.
Right, when people say, I have friends in Richmond, do you know them?
Two different states.
Meeting other people in the fall festival up there at Elkins. My dad's from Elkins, and we try to go there every year. And hearing other people from out of state, they're like, "Oh, we just love it here." I'm like, you do?
You don't know the people.
It's so beautiful here. It is.
I mean, it is.
It depends on the lighting, mostly.
No, this place is pretty.
It's gorgeous here. I've lived in lots and lots and lots of states, and I love West Virginia. Okay, so what was her greatest longing, and how did that change?
I mean, we kind of said that already, but her greatest longing was to go to an art school in New York, because no one ever thinks that through. But her greatest longing was to be an art student in New York, and to be in New York and make it big as an artist. And it changed very, very quickly when she found out her prospective adoptive parents were from West Virginia, and which is a good 3, 4, 5 hours away from New York. It's a lot.
I have family up in New York. It's like a 16-hour drive.
It's a lot. It depends on where in New York, but it's a lot. It's just a lot.
So, I don't want to give away too much about the book, but of course we have to tell you a little bit just so you'll want to read it. But there's a plot twist right after she meets her prospective parents, and what happened. Someone to her best friend. If you need a little cueing, they had to go back and reread some stuff yesterday. We were all like, "Wait, we got to read the book again."
Kidnapping.
Oh, you said the word.
Oh wait, it was basically kidnapping, luring, No, well, I want to say that at the beginning it was more of a lure into kidnapping because what happened was she had to pass a mental exam. Which the book hits pretty well on what that looks like is acting out basically a scenario, a real life family scenario, just a family in a living room and how that goes and everything like that. And she ended up failing the mental portion of the exam, so she felt like all hope was lost. And the main villain, do you want me to say his name?
Sure.
The main villain, Rizard, he offered her a job,
right,
in quotations, and she took it because she thought, well, no one's going to want to adopt a 15, 16-year-old from an orphanage, so she might as well go and start her own life by herself since she lost hope for ever getting a family.
Right, so that she felt like that was her last chance. And just to clarify, we're talking about Daria, the best friend. So that changes the whole perspective for Adelina. But let's talk a little bit about the sidekick, Kasha.
She is a very... How young was she? Like,
She was only a couple years younger, right?
She's about 9 or 10, because I think she's 10 in the second book.
And
I'm the writer.
You're the writer. Yeah, Kathleen.
I see like a tiny...
Well, she's small for her age, yeah.
I just saw a midget.
Adorable, little, bouncy, happy,
Spritey, if you will.
If you will. And
I do.
She, when you read her, parts of the book, you can even see, like, she definitely has problems focusing, like, tiny Labrador when you're running, we're wanting to help you, wanting to please.
Yes. And what's her tell? What is something that she does all the time?
A thing that she constantly does, which really tells you that she has attachment issues, is she always loses, in quotations, like, I'm pretty sure she hides these objects, let's face it, a random object that the orphanage will receive through, like, a church donation or something. But she'll claim it was from her father because she was abandoned, and she has attachment issues because of that. So she'll hide a random object that she claims her father gave her, and will constantly ask Adelina to help her find it so that she feels like, hey, someone is dependent on me,
right.
I'm connected to someone, so, like, they're not completely abandoned.
Exactly.
She goes very attached to this said person, like, towards the end of the book. You got me really attached to her, like, she was almost got spotted or something, or another, and I was like, no, Kathleen, no!
Please, no, just
leave her alone!
Just leave her alone, let her live a good life. Let someone live a good life.
Right, and that's what I mean, these guys got to participate in the revision, and so when they were reading it, they're telling me, messaging
Before the
me,
revision, oh my goodness.
right, and telling me, you can't do that to her, or don't let this happen to her, or don't let anybody die. We don't want someone to die.
Before the revision, everyone you love basically dies. Let's face it.
Okay, we did revise some of that. I listened to my team.
Basically, everyone died before the revision.
Okay, but some people live now, so...
Yeah, now!
I was like,
I needed you guys.
When I had to take that break, I was like, Kathleen, no.
Yes, I had people yelling at me because there were some adults on the revision team too.
Not as many people died as Edgar Allan Poe would kill them off.
That's right.
But a lot of people died.
Right.
Thank goodness it's revised.
And speaking of Edgar Allan Poe, Adelina has a coping mechanism. And what is her coping mechanism?
Poems.
She will recite poems out of memory to help her cope with stressful situations that might trigger some feelings of neglect or abandonment and all that sort. And she just will start quoting random poems that come to mind or that remind her of the situation.
Or defining the word of what she's feeling like. I think at some point she defines the word abandonment or scared or...
Right, she defines words a lot, and that's why, that's where the title came from, was defining home, because she'll define a word and then lapse into poetry, and sometimes it comes out of her mouth.
I'm a very slow person. I just got that, so this is revelating to me. I was like, defining home. Oh my goodness.
That's what that means.
That's what the book title means.
I opened up the first page.
You know what? You can stop. You can stop. You can stop.
Well, you can open up the first page and see Rebekah's review right there on the very first page.
And on the back.
And on the back. Okay, moving on. We've kind of already talked about this, but we need to just say it outright. What is the theme of the book?
Sex trafficking.
Okay.
It's human trafficking, and it is a combination of what goes on behind the scenes of, like, orphanages and orphans, and the risks of how often orphans can be inducted into human trafficking because, especially the older ones, the ones who might have failed the mental portion of the exam,
Right.
And who feel hopeless can be inducted into believing that they have this purpose by going and taking this job when it turns out it's not really a job, they're being sold.
Exactly.
It's definitely the Eve and the Garden of Eden kind of thing, you know, temptation to the eye. I want something more, and then once you take it, you realize, oops, but oops is too far oops to go back.
Yeah, because Rizard knows exactly what these girls need or want, and he researches
what they're thinking they're wanting.
Right. So, and that's often the way that human trafficking works, is there's a person who befriends a young girl or boy, but in this case it's girls, and finds out all about them before he approaches them. So I don't want to give up too much information, so we'll move on.
Reasons I have attachment issues aren't trusting ones.
Well, and that I'm going to throw in a question they were not prepared for, because one of the reasons I wrote this book was to raise awareness for teens about how easy anyone can get sucked into a human trafficking issue. And I actually wrote this book because my niece was almost taken at a truck stop because she was, older teen, believed this guy who promised her that he was going to upstart her music career, and all they had to do is meet at this truck stop, and he was going to take her. Yeah, and yes, but anyway, the police did come and save her, and she realized before it was too late that this was a setup, with a lot of phone calls and texts from family members telling her, don't go, don't do this, why did you go to the truck stop with him, kind of thing. But it's so easy, especially when somebody has a dream and someone will tell you that that dream can be fulfilled if you only do this. So here's a question that I did not put on your list, but what has this made you think about human trafficking? I mean, have you thought about it more? Are you more aware of?
Honestly, I've entertained the thought, but I never really fully, grasped, because it's definitely a subject that it's not comfortable. It doesn't sit right with the soul.
Right.
It's not an easy topic. It's rather hard to. And even when you, maybe write it wrong, say it wrong, it could easily become offensive to someone.
Mm-hmm.
So it could possibly raise more awareness, because it definitely kind of opened my eyes more. This kind of stuff doesn't really happen in America, thankfully. I mean, it does, but
it does a lot.
But definitely when you do think abroad, it's, oh my goodness, it's in some parts, it's almost it's like going to Amazon, let's say now. It's,
right.
And it's horrible.
Yeah, it is. How about you, Alec?
It's definitely made me more aware of signs and stuff of hey, this is the start of a setup. This is the start of something that can be set up. When you're if you're driving around and you see signs that say need work, call this number.
Yes.
That, with no other information whatsoever, just to need work, call a number. That is signs of this is not okay. This is a very dangerous situation. At best case scenario, it's a really shady job that it may not be sex trafficking, but you still shouldn't do it because it's just super shady and possibly illegal. And at worst, it's a setup. So
and photo shoots, come get your
photo taken.
Yeah. And not too long ago, it was in November 2017, I met a friend of mine who's also an author for a weekend in Winchester, and she booked the hotel, and we get to this hotel and we very quickly realize there's something really, really off about this hotel. It's very nice, but I think that I've been more aware of this just doing the research and writing this book, that there was they were probably some sort of Slavic, I don't know if they were Czechoslovakian they weren't Polish, but I knew that and 2 guys who were stationed at the entrance, 2 guys stationed at the elevator. It was like you could just tell it was a setup. And so when my friend Robin and I got off the elevator, you know how when you're taking a picture of someone or taking a picture of yourself and you hold your phone up? Well, these 2 guys were taking pictures, but the angle that they were holding their phone, they were obviously taking pictures of us and not of themselves. So we both felt very uneasy to the point we both felt like we were going to puke. We talked to the manager about it. We kind of think he was in on it because it was like really, yeah. So
are you serious?
Just walks in. You know what? Never mind.
We ended up changing hotels, and it was just
like this book is definitely, if you want to, most of this kind of stuff happens because dudes and girls don't really, know, and it's definitely this book is definitely a starting point to say, this happens. We don't want this to happen to you.
Exactly.
It's a turning wheel, starting the car on a way to say, if this ever happens to you, this is the steps you take. You do not, like quoting my mother, do not go past go.
Yeah, right.
Do not collect 200.
That's the Monopoly line. Well, and I do, in the book, there is a section where I give all of those things, like don't do this, and, just things that you need to be aware of, because you need to be aware of things like that. If your family's traveling and you get to a hotel and you notice that there are guys stationed in the foyer and there's guys stationed at the elevator and they're watching you walk to your room and they're still there when you come out and they're there every time you get off the elevator, then... warning, Will Robinson.
And in that case, you pull out your switchblade and you hold it like this. Just hold it against your leg, not showing it. Walk calmly to the nearest cell phone, call 911, report this. And if they try to stop you, you use that switchblade.
Well, and you have to be really careful because when you are doing the reporting, which is one of the things that my friend and I talked about, was we were going to call the human trafficking hotline and not the local police. Because often, unfortunately, if there's a setup in a town like that... Then,
they have someone stationed inside the police office,
yes.
too. Go along with it.
It's almost like one of those thrillers you watch on TV, And that's how we felt that night. We felt like we were stuck in some sort of crime movie or something and you couldn't escape.
To quote something kind of obscure, it's like the first Scooby-Doo movie when they're trapped on the island and they're reporting, hey, something's going on here, to the Coast Guard, but the Coast Guard officers are in on it, so they don't do anything about it.
Yes.
That's exactly how we felt, because at one point we had walked out of the hotel to walk across the street and eat dinner, and there was a guy in the shadows, just like standing in the shadows, smoking a cigarette. And he said, "Where are you going?"
It's none of your business.
To grab some socks from the dollar store down the street.
And it was the hotel manager.
Oh, no.
Which made it even...
Where are you going? Finding a whetstone to sharpen my blade. You want to come? Want to come watch?
Right. Okay, so...
A fun thing is to seem crazier than the people trying to hurt you.
Right. And I think that maybe we're answering the next question, which is, would you describe this book as a thriller?
I see this more of an action book. There are indeed some suspenseful moments where it makes you, kind of hold your breath or, sit on the edge of your seat reading it. But I find this more of an action book because there are more action-oriented moments in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That make it more action focused than maybe you're not necessarily scared per se, but you are waiting in suspense.
Right. Yeah. I would say that too.
Definitely more of a kind of an action, but there is some definite thriller moments where you're in suspense and you're what's gonna happen? Like when she was meeting up, trying to go undercover to the place, and she meets up with the main villain for I think it was
5
hot
seconds.
cocoa, hot chocolate.
Oh,
the entire time I was sitting there
just
it's not hyperventilating, but
I mean, I am.
And And these are the times when they first read the first copy of the book that they're messaging me. Wait, what are you doing?
What is this? What's this? What's this?
happened?
There's white things in the air.
I was thinking, no. Then she like wakes up in a basement, and I'm like,
well, you did this to yourself.
I was like, is she fine? She's fine. Well, she's not okay.
She's in a basement. I imagine she's not okay.
She's not okay. She's yeah.
You just spoiled everything, Becca.
No,
Congratulations.
she didn't.
No, shut up.
That's what's called a teaser.
She's
now
dead.
They're gonna be
She's
like,
actually-
what happened next?
She's actually in purgatory.
So what happened next? So don't tell me. I'm just saying that's what she.
Well, what happens next is purgatory. She wakes up, sees Dante Alighieri and Virgil, the poet, and they have to climb. She has to climb the mountain with them. It's really weird crossover with Dante's Purgatorio and Defining
Okay,
Home.
if you haven't figured this out yet, Alec likes to joke around a lot.
No, I'm being
That
completely
is not what
serious. I'm being
happened.
completely serious. Just read Dante's Purgatorio. You'll notice that there is this one unnamed character that follows them seemingly throughout the entire book. See, Kathleen went back in time and put that thought in Dante's head. Hey, write about this one girl walking with you, and then went back forward in time and rewrote it. So see, all of it is just time travel.
But
elaborate time
in a
travel.
way, it's true because there are only so many themes in literature. And so every time you pick up a book, you're reading one of the original themes in literature. It's just written a different way.
Yeah.
So, okay, so
Pro
would
tip.
you recommend this book to other teens and why?
I would definitely recommend it to teens who are like older ages, like
Definitely older age.
15, maybe 15, but definitely like 16 up. Like, don't, like, if you're gonna buy this as a gift for a teen that you know, or like give this to a kid to read and stuff like that, don't make it like 14, 13, because I don't believe this will be necessarily a book that sparks their interest so much. Plus, as this is a more adult topic that needs talked about, so they have a general awareness of signs to watch out for, but like, don't scare them.
Yeah, you don't want to scare them
This
to
is
death.
definitely more of, I would say this is definitely more of a book towards girls my age, because at that, around 16 through who
Life.
knows, girls definitely want to like, hey, I want to go see this guy, I want to go out this date, and that's where it mostly happens.
Right.
You want to meet up with someone, you know nothing about them, they're getting real personal, they're wanting information. Next thing you know, you're in a trunk of a car.
Or a basement.
Or a basement.
Right.
You thought you were drinking hot cocoa with your new boyfriend, and you're in a basement.
It's definitely more of a book to say, I would like you to read this to maybe start thinking,
Start the conversation.
Start the conversation.
Right.
It's it's not really a conversation you want to have, but it's a conversation you need to have.
Exactly. Right, and
So
that's one of the
definitely more
reasons
older children.
That's one of the reasons I wrote it as a novel instead of just, if I would have written a handbook and said, here's a handbook to avoid
Here's a handbook.
human
Here's a
trafficking. How
here's a
many
handbook.
of you would read this?
I wouldn't.
Right.
No offense, Kathleen. I know that it's yours, but I'd probably be like, yeah, I'll read it, and then give it to my mom. I was like, you read this. I don't
You
care.
read this, right? So, but then when I hand you a novel and it's got a plot and, like you said, it's suspenseful. You're at the end of every chapter, there's a cliffhanger, and you want to know what's going to happen next.
I'm more inclined to read it than say, signs to watch out for human trafficking. 1. Don't answer random ads on the street. 2. Make sure you are aware of your surroundings at all time. 3. If you see someone who looks like they're taking a photo of you because they're trying to pull it off as they're taking a selfie, they're probably not taking a selfie.
Writing these down. Keep going.
4. Don't go outside. Ever. Stay in your home. The outside world's dangerous. Mother knows best. Listen to your mother. On your own, you won't survive.
We're on 5.
Yes.
The third wheel, honey, please don't trust your third wheel. Bring a 4th, a 5th. You know those tanks that have almost 10 wheels on each side? Honey, why stop at there? Bring the clan, bring the troop, bring the colony.
Everywhere you go, bring an entire army of people. If you don't, you will die. Are we talking about war or human trafficking?
I don't
Your
know. We've
sword.
kind of
You
moved
want
to
to
another
your
territory than
Bring your sword, bring your horses, bring your knights, bring your bishops. Are we talking about chess now?
Yeah.
Rooks. There you go.
Okay,
Definitely brings up a shot.
Be the king of your own board game.
let's talk about one more person before we wrap this up. Let's talk about Cecilia. What was her role and what was her character like?
You know that one character you introduce when you're reading, not really a bad novel, but the main character, she's without flaw. She is flawless. she got
Which is a flaw inside of itself.
Control. She has life planned out, and then in reality, again, it's like sculpting something out of ice, put it there, admiring it in the hot sun.
Yes, and she melts, doesn't she?
To sum it up succinctly, Cecilia is a very bubbly, obnoxious, annoying, I'm better than you character, who you later sympathize with, maybe, possibly, depending on who you are as a person. But in the beginning, you might hate her guts. I know I did.
In the beginning, I was like,
really?
right at the beginning.
Wear this sweater. This one is a better fit for your eye color and your hair. I'm just like, please stop talking. I really don't care.
Pink does not look good on Reddit. So I was like,
It's like, you know what?
It may not be necessarily complimentary, but you look at my sister Sarah's wear. I'm like, it may not match. She may be wearing platinum polka dots.
I hope your sister listens to this, honestly.
But she wants to wear it. She better wear it, and she's gonna look good in it. Your opinion does not matter.
If you've got it, flaunt it.
What is really cracking me up about this is that you guys are railing on this person that I created out of nothing.
Because we despise her, for the most part.
It's always kind of cool. It's like you're like, oh my word, I hate this character. They're like, is this a person of my fiction imagination?
If someone has created a character that you could talk about as if you knew them personally, you've done well.
Well, thank you. Then I have achieved my goal.
I could talk about Cecilia as if she was a real person I knew who bothered me constantly, who plagued me at work or at church or something, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, did you see what Cecilia said? Oh my goodness.
She told me to wear flats.
Did you see what she made a really passive aggressive post on Facebook about so-and-so? Oh my gosh, I can't believe she had the nerve to do that.
I can't believe that day she told you to wear a bow tie instead of an actual tie.
Yeah, doesn't she know I only wear suspenders, gosh.
Okay, so let's just say that these two do not like Cecilia, but somebody physically describe her. You skipped that part. So what does Cecilia look like?
She's the perfect child. She's blonde, blue-eyed. She has you described her as having a nice figure, right? Like,
yes.
Pleasing to the eyes.
Yes.
Endless pin bank.
Target of men's affection.
Yep.
And you're walking down the street and you see that one girl or dude.
You see that one person who you question.
Like, what am I doing wrong? What has
almost.
It's like looking at a model. Like, how is her nose, her freckles, her moles on the side of her face completely look elegant, and me, I look like I just crawled out of the garbage can.
I look like I crawled out of hell, but okay.
So we are going to wrap this up, and I'm going to have each of you tell me your favorite part of the book without giving away the ending.
Ooh. I like the part where she's going, it's going on an adventure, starting this plan to go find her friends, and she's worried that this will affect her future. Like, it's like that moment where you put on your big girl boots.
Yes.
To think differently. The entire time, she's like, I don't want to lie to my possible future family. This is supposed to be my family. It's like ruining your one good chance to be able to have something you never had.
I am not throwing away my shot.
What?
I am not throwing away my shot.
Right.
Being hungry.
Well, and I like how you said that. It's time for her to put on her big girl boots, and so there was definitely a change.
And there definitely was a what do you call it? A guilt. It wasn't just when you read those one books and the characters throwing this away, and it's like, but I don't care. It's my dream. It's what I want to do.
You mean me?
It's like cute. And then now we're older, and we're like, you idiot. It's like watching Ariel. She's like, Daddy, I'm 16. I can do what I want.
You're 16. You are a child. Calm down. You are still a little kid.
Sweetie, honey.
You know nothing.
You're throwing away the whole kingdom because that guy is good looking.
This will end in like a week.
You met him Thursday night. It's barely Friday morning.
He saved your life? That's called Nightingale syndrome, sweetie.
Okay, Alec, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part was definitely like the flashback scenes where a character that you didn't have before the revision, the flashback scenes with her and the professor.
Yes.
Because I really, really enjoyed the character of the professor a lot.
I wish there was more. Kathleen.
I wish there was more scenes with the professor.
Wait.
I can't change the first book. I can bring him into the second book. Now the second book's finished.
Kathleen! Can I tell them? Because like that's not.
You can tell him some. Yeah, sure.
He's dead before the book even starts.
See, I did
a paragraph of the man.
You get a bunch of sentences like, oh, this man did this. Like, he was a very loving person towards Adelina. And Kathleen ripped him from her.
No, he was in his 80s.
Kathleen ripped him from her.
He was in his 80s.
You could have made him younger.
I couldn't make him younger because of his connection to her had to do with his experience during World War II.
So what I'm hearing is this is the mentor stereotype when you have to create an adventure novel, where it's the mentor stereotype where in the first few chapters they have to die.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
The disappointing part. More like I did the exact same.
But the amazing thing about the professor, and he is interspersed a little bit into the second book, Defining Family, but he actually, although he died before the book began, and there's a lot of flashbacks with him, he stays with her because he's the one who taught her the coping skills that she needed just to survive life in general. And he is the one who gave her the what?
The
dictionary.
It's not the book of poems. That was way different.
Yeah,
that was not the professor.
Different. That was not the professor at all, and we won't tell that story because it's a funny story in the book.
That's not a funny story. That is an upsetting story.
Well, that gives her some gumption. So yeah, the professor's in there, and he has experiences during World War II, and I really actually drew from real life. I did a lot of research and used the book Hiding to Survive, which is just a book about children who survived World War II by hiding at different places, chicken coops, family homes in the basement, in the attic, and I also brought in the true story of the Zabenskis, who ran the zoo in Warsaw that was bombed by the Nazis, and they actually hid a lot of people in the zoo after it was bombed. So I tied that in. So I tied that history in. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and thank you for being on my revision team and my future revision teams. We'll just get that agreement right now, right?
I'm too busy for that, sorry.
Alex trying to get out of it.
Back as the revision team. Bye, guys. See you later.
One man show.
I'm glad that you guys that you came on and that you enjoyed reading my book and that you would recommend it. So thanks for joining us on The Whole House. See you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We're so glad you could join us here for the Whole House podcast. Please subscribe, and if you give us a review, we might pick our favorite and send you a prize. Please remember to like the Whole House Facebook page and follow us on Instagram at _whole_house. And please sign up with your email on our website, thewholehouse.org, to be notified when new things are happening here at the Whole House. Thanks so much for listening.